Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to say hello again and welcome. Welcome to a fresh, brand new edition of the program, ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Today is Tuesday, May the 9th, 2023. And as always, man, we just want to give him the praise. We want to magnify his name. Blessed be his holy name forever. Father, we are grateful to you. We want to thank you, Jesus, for giving us the strength to be here tonight. Others are in the hospital. Others are in wheelchair. But you favor us tonight to be able to walk and talk. Oh, man. With that, we want to give you thanks. And in the name of Jesus, we have given you thanks. Well, folks, we have come to you again. To our many fans and viewers, listeners, listen, please don't be selfish tonight. Share the video, invite a few friends so that we can together have a great time tonight. You know, some call him the mastermind, the doctor of law, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio. C'est tout pas yé. C'est bon pour la dia ko me o tiraji. Ye wo le no muzo no wo je madobo. Bro ba pe konyo si kro. We dia ku e gwe play. C'est comme we pele. Basi yompu. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. Africa's media do extraordinaire. Oh, man. They feel they are smarter than you. They feel they are better than you. But they envy your productivity. Oh, man. Well, folks, Liberia is heading for election on the 10th of October 2023. It is my hope and it is my prayer that Alexander Cummings remains strong and healthy. It is also my hope and prayer that Joseph Human Boycott remains strong and healthy. The same goes for Tiawan Gonglo, Peter Wise, Clarence Manima, and all of those political actors in Liberia. We have one country, and it is also my hope that President George Weah remains strong and healthy as well, as we all decide who becomes the next president of Liberia. Liberia means well for all of us. So my plea to the godmother, the Maradona of Liberian politics, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, if you can't help our country, Please stay out of the Liberian politics. We have had enough of you. You sponsor this senseless war. You authorize people to kill brothers and sisters. As if this was not enough. You contested. You became president in 2005, 2012, and now we are seeing your third term now, where you give Joshua to us, and you are still maneuvering, trying to have Joshua remain. And again, this very evil and wicked woman. Listen, I would say things that most of you are afraid to say. That's why I am ASHFORD GARLEY. You know, the wise man once said, fear, limited vision, and lack of self-esteem will prevent you to do things or say things that you know within yourself that you are capable of doing. But it will paralyze you. Les Brown. You know, I'm just thinking and sitting and say, you know what? October 10, we go to these elections, and we hear. Because according to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Joseph Yuma Boyka will never be president as long as she's living. So what if we go to these elections and Joseph Yuma Boyka, end up becoming the winner? And then we hear on the 11th of October that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf died in her sleep. I'm not saying Joseph Boyka going to be the president, just in case, I'm just saying. Because the war that Ellen sponsored, she is not better than Liberians who are unsuccessful today. Some people, folks, don't have graves, but this woman can't let go. She can't leave our country. You're almost 90 years old, and you still continue to impose yourself, make yourself relevant amongst the Liberian people. Welcome to the show. Ladies, gentlemen, hello and welcome to the show.
Yes, sir.
Greetings, ASHFORD, and the rest of the panelists. Such a pleasure once more to be here tonight. We're looking forward to having a spirited debate. Thank you.
We have a special guest. Our guest is already is already at the back end. And folks, just before, in fact, how was your night, Joel?
My night was good. I slept really well. I'm hopeful about the future of Liberia. So, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back home pretty soon here during the next couple of months. So, yeah, my night was pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for asking. How was your night?
Oh, it's better than good, as always, man. I had a great time.
Okay, good.
Okay, Dr. Fisk.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. It's a wonderful time to be with the panelists today, ASHFORD. My greetings to you as well. And my greetings to every person up in viewer land. I hope we can have another explosive edition of exchanges today. Thank you.
Idatu's added. I certainly thought I greeted everybody and extended my grace to you. I'm excited. I had a great day at work. Looking forward to talking about beloved country Liberia and potentially who God has ordained for the next president.
Letty Bruce Roberts. Okay, she's still trying to adjust herself. Well, Mr. Tomani George is watching. TG, how are you? Are you still in Liberia? Louis the Gokman is also watching. Shedrick D. Kanga is watching as well. Again, folks, share the video, invite a few friends. Let's have a healthy discussion here tonight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do this. I want to thank God first, and I want thank God, thank you for this man right here. You know, today makes it 24 years when we left from Liberia and came to the United States of America. And this guy picked me up from the airport. The Reverend Idatus added. How was that experience, Tanik?
Well, you know, Stanley, haven't seen you in a very long time after the war, but communicated now and then. It was such a joy and a pleasure knowing that you still got brothers. You know that you've all lived in the same house, ate from the same bowl, went to the same school, shared the same clothes, but can meet after several years of war. It was an exhilarating moment. I was just grateful. You know, I was filled with joy, overwhelmed with joy, just seeing my friend and brother Ashford, the giant Garley.
Thank you. Now he's not only a friend, he's a brother. So sometimes you know the debate would get heated. We would have some powerful exchanges, but trust me, we are family, we are friends, you know, like the rest of you guys. So 24 years later, we are back here. We knew that we're going to be on the same platform, you know. And he's one of those guys that used to sit down. I mean, brother, you can do this, you can do that. At the time, his head was involving some other things, but he was always spiritual though. Get this, he was always spiritual. And I was a guy who was far away from God, even though I'm still an entry level Christian. But I was a guy who was always far from God. I would see him and Nixon and Jeffrey, you know, will have the prayer session. And next thing you know, I would get out, get taxi, and go to town. By the end of the day, you know, when God is not ready for you, you can't force it, you know. And when He gets ready for you, you don't need to be reminded. Right, Stanley?
Absolutely.
Hey, Pastor.
Absolutely. And Shedrick is actually watching and one time he made a comment by calling you Pastor Garley.
I know,
And
right?
Madam Robert said, from your mouth to God's ear. So who knows? You know, maybe Joel or
Right.
Dr.
I,
Fiscal.
I have a question though.
Yeah,
Pastor, when you picked him up, did he have hair? Did this guy ever have hair?
of course. We're talking.
Well, you know, Ashford has always been the young and handsome, intelligent gentleman, highly ambitious and passionate about his desire to be a voice for the weak. So I'm not surprised. You know, he was handsome, he had hair, and he was neatly dressed as always.
Okay.
And Joy, let me share this with you. I came to the States with 25 cents in my pocket. And that 25 cents, at the time, I had pay phone. And it was the only quarter I had, bro. I went to the pay phone. And back then, my man, we could memorize numbers. But this time, right now, you can't even memorize 2, 3 number. Man, with the phone, you know, 011, blah, blah, you know. And I called you, that was my man. I said, my man, yeah. He said, where are you? I said, my JFK. You know, it was him, Nixon, his older brother. And I think I believe, what the boy name?
Busky.
Not Busky. Busky were there? Not Busky, your other
Yeah.
cousin.
Oh, Cuckoo.
Cuckoo,
Chapman.
yeah. You know, and folks, yeah, we are later on, you know, having fun and all the good stuff.
You
But
know,
let us,
you know
yeah,
something. It's wonderful to see. You know, especially when war came to Liberia, how families got separated. You know, family friends became, you know, went in one direction and the other. So it's always nice to see that this type of, you know, friendship that lasts like through eternity, man. Because
yeah.
you don't really see that often. So you know, congratulations to both.
And in March, in March of '99, I went to the Africa Coast. At the time, my mother was seriously sick, and I got in a taxi from Roville through Danelade, went to Abidjan, and I was stranded. So again, I ran into his older brother, Wendell Addy, you know. Then I called him. I said, Idatus, my man, things are tough here. What he did, he called another lady that was in, I think, the suburban part of the Abidjan. He said, go to that lady. To my greatest surprise, man, the lady was able to give me some money. I had a charter taxi from Abidjan with my mother back to Monrovia. So you see, this brother who came a long way. Things just didn't happen overnight. You know,
Wow.
yeah. I mean,
That's awesome, man. That
this
is
guy
awesome.
is a great friend and brother, and I appreciate him. I appreciate the friendship. Have a very great wife and two kids, and of course, our friend Shetrick is also on the air as well. Another powerful friend and brother that will visit the platform one day, so you can hear from him as well. But we've come a long way, back as
Thank you.
class of 1986. So we've been on the journey for a long time. From Jalatan, Capital Bypass. He was in ambassador.
Yeah.
He was in SD. I was ambassador 10 years. When he went to St. Patrick's, I went to Tottenham High. So I mean, we come a long way.
Wow, yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Just want to say I love you, brother. God bless you.
Yeah, love you more, bro.
Yeah.
At this time, I don't know if our special guest is on here now. We'd like to introduce our special guest, and he's backstage. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. We welcome the Reverend Solomon Manen Moyen. Reverend Moyen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, ASHFORD, and to your beautiful panelists. We want to say thank you, and my regards to all of you, and my brother, Idatus. How you
How
doing?
you doing? Dad?
Yeah, I think I
Wonderful,
came
my
across
brother.
fakes in Ghana on the refugee camp. I think it's a fix what I came across. Fix what you the one?
Yeah, he was in Ghana. He told you were in Ghana. That he there.
Yeah. So I used to be Area D. I was not far from your room. We used to be right in my room, the D29.
Okay. Yeah.
Those
Well,
days.
Okay.
I was there briefly before going to the University of Ghana. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Reverend Moyen, this is how we're going to do this tonight. I will give you the first 5 minutes to tell us about yourself. Tell us about your agenda as you plan to contest as representative in District 17. And following that, the panelists gonna ask you ask you a couple of questions each, and you will have 2 minutes to respond to the question. And if the need arises for follow up, uh, would we will give them 1 minute to ask, and then you can respond again within 2 minutes. So the floor is all yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your campaign. 5 minutes.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Garley. Thank you to your folks. My name is Reverend Solomon Moy, as he said, born and raised in Banjo, Lower Virginia. Virginia is the oldest settlement at the right bank of St. Paul River, founded in the year 1868. 1846. Or the year before Liberia got her independence. And Virginia is also part of District 17, one of the 7 zones in District 17. So like I said, I was born right in Banjo, grew up right there. My mother, father were all born in the same place. Went to school, the public school in Banjo, then to Sarah Barkley, and later moved to St. Mary's, then CW, where I graduated. Upon graduation, we went to Liberia Baptist Theological Seminary, where we obtained our first degree in theology. And we worked with the Liberian Council of Churches, then with the Interreligious Council of Liberia. But in the community, we serve as youth mentor and leaders in our community, where we funded youth organizations like the Now Generation, the Youth Leaders, and community-based organizations like the Federation of World Affected Christians, ensuring that our people can resettle. By the grace of God, we were able to come to the United States on a scholarship, where we came to do our master's in conflict and peace studies at the School for International Training in Vermont. And after we did our first graduate program in conflict and peace study, we were also fortunate to continue again, where we did another master in sustainable development. With my brother, Reverend Ade, we work with the Liberian Ministers Association, where I serve as its Secretary General. making sure that we can bring our immigrant churches, especially from Liberia, together to work for peace amongst us, promote oneness, and to ensure that the immigrant community can have a voice in this part of the United States. And more to that, I mean, we are currently working with the All4All agency as its development director, and we are making sure that our immigrant population, especially those from Africa, find a better place, have a better security, and ensure that they can have the social economic empowerment that is so desired in this place. I'm currently in East Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, and currently I'm pursuing my passion for leadership in my district. District I'm 17 in Monterey County, the second largest district in terms of population, voter population. We just had NEC releasing to us. We have a 71,868 in terms of voter. That have been registered. One of the things that drove my passion to leadership is the fact that what I witnessed when my brother, one of my younger siblings, fell off, and he was rushed to the hospital. At first, the clinic, but the clinic could not handle his situation, so they asked for a referral to Redemption. Redemption is across the bridge in Newtown, and there was no ambulance. Schedule was placed in one of those tricycle, what we call keke, back home. And the traffic between Club B and Douala before going to Newtown was so tense that even the keke could not have its way with that emergency. Before Schedule was reached to the hospital in Redemption, he passed off, he died. And I saw the picture. I went back home and preached the funeral. Well, it dawned on me as I think about Shadrach and think about many other fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters who are in the same situation. Then looking at our district, one of the oldest, our district that hosted great people from around the world. We don't have a fitting hospital to attend to the emergencies of our people. The question is, what happened? Who are we? When we live our life in other people's country, we give them the value. When they value us, and the value can be transferred to our own people. Who can stand up and ensure that the basic social indicators of a good and healthy district can be experienced by our people while they are living now?
60 seconds, please.
This thing drove my passion. I went back home, I had a consultation with stakeholders, my family, and they all told me it is time now for us to have our own in this process. Who knows this place, who have been in this place, who understand us, to stand up for us, and fight for us, and ensure that those things we so desire in our place can be restored. And this is why I'm here to talk to you about what we want to do in the district and to talk to my people through this means, because we've been there with them and ensuring that they can see that this reign will soon be over. And we'll have a team on the ground called Team Umbrella. Umbrella is my nickname, my name given to me by my grandfather. And Umbrella symbolizes protection from the rain, the sun. And I didn't know that that name would have had its own meaning today. When I raised my hand, someone said, "You are the umbrella who is coming to save us from this reign of corruption, this reign of underdevelopment, this reign of poverty, to ensure that the shame is noble for us."
Thank you, Reverend.
We are going the team back home to reclaim and restore the pride of our district. Thank you.
That's the voice of the Reverend Sullivan Moyen. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard him. Reverend Moyen, District 17 is a very big district, and you're a man with a big heart, a God-fearing man. There are other artists who happen to be your brothers and sisters, who you can lend a helping hand to help improve or rebuild the district. Now, what is so wrong with this district that you are contesting and not giving support arm to those who have already started the journey? What is so wrong with this district of which you want to become the next representative?
something back to I think my Reverend Edward we rather put it in this context. Sometimes Jesus was sent because those who were sent ahead, they didn't achieve that which was so desired to be achieved until he himself have to come in the process. The question go back to us. If we are qualified to bring the transformation, why can we go and help the people for that necessary transformation they so desired? We've been there, we've been working with our people. For the past 2 or 3 leadership that we have had, yes, these are people who, for me, I don't like to criticize people. They have done their best, but they were challenged in showing that those basic necessity of society, those basic social indicators could be realized within their own term. But they were challenged in one way or the other. So the first try, the second try, the third try, we supported the initiative. For every time I go back home, I always go to the office of our lawmaker and talk to him, give him idea. So the question is, if you are qualified and the people see in you, they need to come back home and join them in fighting for them. Why close your ear to them? It is said that when the people remember you and call you, don't say no to the call. It's time. So we call it the fullness of time. So we are in this fullness of time to do what we can do for our people.
Well, Reverend Moyen, tell us about your strength. Some people refer to you as stranger. Which political party do you represent, or on which ticket are you going to be running on? Because a lot of people think you are a stranger. That's my last question.
to even say that, I refer you to a saying, a traditional saying. It says that when a boy calls you uncle, don't ask him who's your father. I don't know whether the word stranger is being coined on the side of my people back home, because they see me as their own, and they have said that our own is our own. It's better we carry our own now. So we are mobilizing this grassroots participation of all people within this team umbrella, and we are strong to go independent of any party. We are strong to ensure that our people won't be interfered with party politics. Our people issue won't be submerged when we stand up to speak for them because of party affiliation. So if our people deem it necessary for us to go as an independent, so we are prepared to go, because the strength is there to carry us in that direction. But so with or without party, we still go as the people's umbrella to ensure that those basic things they so desire can be achieved in their lifetime before they can pass this space.
Well, are you going as independent because your party, the CDC, pledged their loyalty to somebody else other than you, who are a bona fide member of CDC? Besides, you are a very good friend of George, where you have a lot of things in common. Why would you then want to go as independent?
Then your question begged to ask another question again now, because I like to operate on facts. So I don't know which candidate CDC put up in that district, except you tell on the show. But like I said, I'm going at the will of
the party of the late Dr. Cassell.
Okay,
we saw them joining the CDC, and with that party, the chairman of that party is DJ Blue. DJ Blue comes from District 17, and he's running as representative in that same district.
Okay. You mean DJ Blue that ran to be senator, but he didn't make it?
That's right.
Ran to be representative in District 15.
Reverend.
Are you talking about DJ Blue who ran to be senator?
You asked for the fight. I just gave you the fight, Reverend.
Yeah. I'm trying to clarify.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the person you're talking about. So you mean this is the same DJ Blue who ran in District 15?
Yes, sir.
And they don't make it. Then he come into District 17 to make it. So I leave it with the people. Like I said, I walk in the direction of the people because they want me to be a voice that will fight for them and advocate that their basic necessity can be achieved in their lifetime with us representing them at that place called the capital. So they so desire that we go as independent, we will go, whichever party they so desire we'll go with. But we're going with our strength, the strength of the people. And this is what we are mobilizing.
Well, let me go to my colleagues because you didn't answer the question about your relationship with the party, the CDC. So I guess Dr. Fisk, come in.
Okay, welcome again, Reverend. Let me let me start by just trying to get your view on what do you think about the current salary of the national legislature. Do you think that it represents the kind of work these individuals are doing? It represents a level of sensitivity to the plight of Liberians that you mentioned from the onset as a part of your introductory statement. Help her understand what is your view on that salary structure.
I see a great disparity between the people who they are represented and those who are the one representing the people. And if we are still having the same constraint we are having because you went there, and we the people are paying you, but yet and still there's nothing different. It means that what we are giving you is not producing. It's not producing the best for us. I want to. Why will your salary be so high? And the layman cannot afford food on the table. The one who you are representing.
So, what
Because
would you advocate should be the average salary of members of the national legislature, based on what you've said about being very concerned about the plight of the ordinary Liberians
I,
who were
I
getting
think I think if we can take the huge sum of our budget into community development, the one that goes to salary, and take it towards community development, we can achieve more for which we are there as representative than to take all for ourselves.
So, what would that ideal salary be?
What idea is relative because we talk in time. I may say something today, tomorrow it will change. So based upon the time and because what I want to advocate
What
for
would be
is
the salary range if you don't have a specific number? What would be the range for you?
and looking at the context we find ourselves in. Then what I'm trying to say in essence is like can we reduce our salary by 25%, and the 25% goes towards what you call community development. So
Okay.
it's just like I mean if it's just like you are not taking all alone, giving back to the people. So if the salary is to be reduced by 25%, so it means that we can bring it down to a place where the excess or what has been reduced from us can be placed into a fund that will go towards district development. Funds.
But mind you, you have all of these district community funds that are still obtaining, but yet and still, I mean, I'm sure you may have heard about the U.S. ambassador report after he visited all counties of Liberia. One of those things he noticed was that there were funds that had been allocated for impoverished situation, but yet and still those funds were not reaching the people. In other words, if you say that, okay, let's not have huge salary because we're not going to divert 25% of that salary into community development, that's just another backdoor of still reclaiming your salary because
No,
at the end of the day, I'm
no.
coming
Go ahead.
at the end of the day, and help me to understand why that is not. At the end of the day, you still have control. And what we've come to understand about Liberian politics is that those who are in control, there's no level of accountability. So other than election, there's no accountability. So help us understand what's the strategy to make a difference.
Thank you so much. Now, I'm a development practitioner, so I go in with that development mindset. And development to be achieved, it should come from the grassroots, from the bottom to the top. So decision for development should come from the people. If you go as a representative, identify that this is what I want to do in the district, it's from the top to the bottom. It won't be realized because it's like you're trying to do something to have the money come back to you. So it's just like ensure that a system is put in place where the people will be able to identify the development priorities. And the development priorities are identified and they are sent to. We can set up a development committee sent to the capital. We can allocate the fund and ensure that those things the people identify in the district as the development projects, those funds goes towards them. So that it's just like we can have some tangible. If it comes from the bottom to the top, but the most of the time we identify things based upon our interests because we want to be re-elected. and we do selective projects for the sake of our name and not the people ownership of the project. In the end, it dies. So my way of doing things is to ensure that it comes from the people. They be able to identify the development priority. We have people who will be able to work along with them to ensure that that development is tangible. We can fund it, and we give the fund towards that and ensure that it's monitored to be achieved.
Thank you, Reverend. Let me go to Joel Dennis.
Okay, Reverend Solomon, thank you for joining us tonight. I mean, my question is actually going to be kind of short because you're relatively unknown, and I don't really want to have any sort of got you questions here tonight. But you seem to be being a little bit evasive about your political parties and your political affiliations. So I'll make it simple for you. You will be voting in Liberia this election. Who are you voting for president of Liberia?
Now, so it's like that question gives you, it makes you to invade my own right, because they say we do secret voting.
No, it's not secret voting.
We are putting the voting. We are putting
the reason why I'm asking this question is because I don't want you to be putting on another jersey and pretend to play for another team right now, when in fact you are supporting the current team. You get what I'm saying? So I kind of want to get to know you. I don't know you. I really would like to know you.
Okay,
and
so
based on your party affiliations.
But answer the question of making them know me well. But anyway, Reverend, I didn't know that I've always supported the leadership of President Weah, and we will always support his leadership. So if we are to mobilize ourselves around him to ensure that the good of the people becomes the priority agenda, like what he said, the pro-poor. The pro-poor can only work if you have people with that mindset, that experience, and that training to work along with you. So you have allowed me to tell you who I'm voting for, which is not a good thing to do, because we all do secret ballot.
Well, thank you, because thank you. I appreciate your honesty. So I imagine you like what's happening in Liberia today, and you want a continuity of what's going on in the country.
Now the word lack is, when you said lack, you are allowing me to look looking at Liberia like a glass half empty. I see things are half full. I know that we can do better. We have challenges. And how can these challenges be improved upon? This is what we all as Liberians should be looking for, and at least helping to do. So one of my things is like, how can I help to ensure that where challenges are, we can improve upon the challenges and do it for the sake of the people, do it for the betterment of the people. So if you say that I like how things are going, then it means that you are making me to see Liberia like a glass which is half full, half empty. But I see it like we are a work in progress, and we can achieve better when good people come on board again.
Okay.
Thank you. Let us move to the Reverend Idatu Zadi.
Well, let me just state here for the record that having worked with Reverend Moen with the Liberian Minister Association, he left an impeccable, stellar record of competence, commitment, dedication, and hard work as our Secretary General. So he is highly respected in our community. Having said that, Reverend, you stated that Liberia is showering in corruption. Are you speaking to the current state of affairs? Are you speaking to this administration, or are you speaking to your district? And if so, what evidence you have against the current representative, I believe is Henson
Kiazulu
from the Unity Party, Kiazulu?
I'm speaking holistically in all segments of our country. With some that cast a blind eyes on what breed corruption in government and in society. Take, for example, if you have schools that would teach children from first grade to 12th grade, and they are going to national exam to go and sit the national exam, then you tell them to pay flexibility fees. Why are you paying flexibility fee? These are future leaders who you are teaching corruption. So they leave to go out knowing that to get their way through, you must be able to bribe. So this is corruption I'm talking about, even in the schools, in the churches. So it's just like something that is into our bloodstream. You understand that? And these things, now he just talked about having more salary. Before then, those guys were making like $15,000 when Papa and Mama could not even put food on the table. Before then, that's corruption. It's not like someone taking money, but you can have corruption legalized in a way that it will look fine, but it's not good. You're depriving people. So when people are deprived of their basic needs, it creates frustration. And the greater the level of the frustration, the greater the level of their ability for them to aggress. So how can we ensure that we can limit our greed and ensure that the people's basic needs can be met with the resources we have? So in essence, in our sector.
Got you. So my next question for you is, are you running as an independent, as evidenced by the fact that everywhere CDC ran, they've not been victorious, and thus independents have become the way to move forward and secure victory, while at the same time supporting the George Weah's government and its policies? For example, you know, the current corruption situation we find in the government, the lack of accountability, autocracy, presidents building 48 houses, traveling for 48 days, has recently traveled for 11 days, then, you know, traveling in the midst of government employees not getting salaries. What do you say to Liberians who think that it's more of the same under the shadow of independence?
So my team is Team Umbrella. Like I said, Umbrella is a symbol of inclusion. All people from Unity Party who have been there 12 years, and it was said that they squandered our resources, they squandered opportunity. We are bringing the Unity Party under this umbrella. The Labour Party, the ANC, the Independent, the CDC, this is an umbrella of all people. So our people determine the course of action. Like we said, we went with them, we had consultation and said, we prefer you in this direction. So the preferment or the preferences that came from our people is not just one group who are saying this. All of them were saying, we prefer you in this direction. It's not because I'm not trying to shade, but I'm trying to ensure that the good. Now, one thing I want to let you know is like this passion of ours is to ensure that we can make that district the development model for Liberia.
30 seconds, Reverend.
Yes, sir. Making it a development model for Liberia so that other people will see and say, but we can do it too. So this is the passion we are going back with. Mobilizing all people, not just one set of people. This is why independent is good in that term.
The voice of Reverend Solomon Boyne, representative aspiring for District 17, Montserrat County. Folks, if you're just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Please share the video, invite a few friends. When we come back, Reverend Boyne will tell us about his own impression of one of the once powerful five-star hotel, Hotel Africa, that is situated right in his district. And he will also tell us about the Unity Conference Center. I remember back then in 1997, I was one of the youngest MCs for the All Liberian Conference at the Unity Conference Center in Virginia. So when we come back, he will tell us more. Don't go away, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hems vocal, Liberia number one vocal, Liberia number one, right? Okay.
The phrase, a new sheriff is in town, does not only belong to law enforcement.
How about the introduction of Liberia's premier vodka, a quality and customized liquor for all occasions? Try the flavor of your choice. Ham's Vodka, Ham's Honey, Ham's Bitter, and Ham's Original Vodka. Ham's Vodka has no hangover. That's why they say Papa drink Mama happy. Ham's Vodka is sold in all stores, shops, supermarkets, and entertainment centers in Liberia. For wholesale, contact Ham's Vodka at 0777 001114, 0777 000-979. We can also be reached via social media on Facebook and IG at Hans Vodka or www.hansvodka.com. In the United States, please contact Hans North America Incorporated at 610-543-9289, 484-888-1622, 484-755-8411. Hans Vodka is approved by the U.S. Federal.
Okay. Well, I think Mr. Garlew was having some technical problems, so he will certainly come back on. Dr. Fix, do you have any question for Reverend Moyen while we wait for Ashford?
Oh, sure, I do. Reverend, you initially voiced your concern that there are insufficient healthcare facilities in your district. And then as a result of that, you have someone lose their life. And we know it doesn't take long to build a hospital, okay? And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president of Liberia for 12 years. However, we need to understand that the idea of an election is to make progress. It's not about looking in the rearview mirror, which seem to be the characteristics of CDC people when you talk to them. All of them is about blame gaming. But help us understand how the George Weah administration has been around for the last 6 years and has not been able to work through, because they talk about, oh, we didn't come with a magic wand. That is the excuse, okay, to at least construct a hospital in the second most populous district. How come that has come to be, and what are your concerns as far as Mr. Weah demonstrating competence rather than knee-jerk reaction towards developmental initiatives in Liberia? Help us to understand these things, please.
So let me state for the record that I'm not the spokesman for Mr. Weah, neither am I the spokesman for his government. And I'm speaking in my context as an aspirant for my district.
But these are political issues that affect your district.
So then we have our district leadership. After we are referred to what our district leadership did not, and not how to call it. But more to that, like Ashford will come back, he will ask me about the Hotel Africa and the conference center. And I believe that you see, if you don't prioritize the basic needs of your people, you tend to lose sight of why you are representing them. Because this is a social contract between you and the people. The people are the right holder, you the duty bearer. They gave you the right. They say, do this thing for us. And if these things are not done, then it means a problem is somewhere. It means
Are
that.
you responding to my second question in terms of leadership? Is it micro MA or micro MI? Because micro MA, you'll be referring to George Weah rather than MI, which you'll be referring to yourself and your own aspiration. Because mind you, my question was about, and you say you're not, no one's expecting you to be a spokesperson, but you also have to understand that some of the concerns that you express has to do with the fact that you've had a leadership in Liberia, presidential leadership, mind you, after an election that was declared free and fair for at least 6 years now. Okay, and you have been one of those persons who suffered as a result of the inadequacy of leadership. So I'm only asking you, do you see this? Do you acknowledge that the current government is inefficient because it functions on the basis of knee-jerk reaction versus having consistent policies in place that will be able to work to the betterment of Liberians? I've always argued on this network that the major priority for Liberia is jobs. Your district represents the second biggest district. Mr. Weah has not built a single factory, but he's built multiple stadia all across the place. Okay, so I'm just in a broader context, especially juxtaposing what you said from the initial stage that, okay, fine, there's this person who died because there's no hospital in that area, or we had to go all the way in another district. So that's why within that context, I'm asking you.
And there hasn't been any hospital since the formation of that district, 2011.
So that's backward.
So Virginia, take for example.
Yeah, the CDC, that's the CDC syndrome. Always looking back and trying to.
No. I am. Let's do it this way.
And Weah has been president for 5 years.
Let's do it this way. Let's refocus our context on my district. If I were running against President Weah, then we can talk on issue of President Weah.
But the concerns that you mentioned, I
have a different leadership.
Of the president.
I have a district leadership. So the district leadership should have ensured that these things are advocated for. Probably his agenda was different. He saw the district from a different direction. He did his best. He was challenged to continue what he could do. Now, what can we do from where he ended to continue it and ensure that those things can come?
In other words, the reason why your district is not what it is not because of a national failure, but rather as a result of a micro failure at the level of your district leadership. Is that what you're saying?
So then the people elected our representative to speak on their behalf. They make laws on their behalf. They do allocation of resources in the budget on their behalf. So if they fail to do that, but they can only allocate for themselves, it means that the problem is not just national, but those who are representing them. So our new phase is to ensure that it comes from the bottom up, where even in the budget, we advocate more for the people's, basic needs than for our basic needs. You understand that? So, why this truth I want to turn this into a national politics about George Weah. I'm looking at my district 17, the Simple River Right Bank. Please, let's go to it. It has 7 zones: Arlington, Matesburg, Brownsville, Virginia, Ashland, Rossville, and Cheesemoor. 7. The second largest in Monroe County.
Thank you.
Let's look at it.
Well, I want to apologize for the little breaking transmission that, have a little glitch in the system. And, we're back. And, Reverend, again, thanks for coming in. Earlier, you talked about the healthcare system in which you explained about the passing of your brother, peace be to his ashes. And we're also looking at the economic situation in District 17. Like I said earlier before the break, we used to frequent your district, especially the Hotel Africa. We had a lot of fun at Hotel Africa, Bacardi's Disco. And then for political purposes, we were at the Unity Conference Center. I know it is not your responsibility to build infrastructure, but how will you use your office to help revitalize the district in terms of those infrastructure development?
Thank you so much, Alpha, and thank you, Fix. I mean, we are just rubbing our heads. I mean, Joel, thank you, and Adi, thank you too. That I went home just recently. I just came back from home, and I went to the Hotel Africa. I went to the conference center. Those two buildings were being built in my presence. I grew up with it. Like you said, on Sunday we'll go to the hotel. We enjoyed the beach. We enjoyed the beauty of that scene. But as for when you're driving back to the hotel, there's no road to even go to the hotel. When you get to the hotel, it's Carlington. You can stand from one side and look through the other side. But it's not just the building I'm looking at. I'm looking at the jobs that's gone. Because that hotel was providing jobs for community dwellers economically. That hotel was also a resource point for our national government as well. The conference center that hosted presidents from around Africa and around the world. That conference center is just nothing. When you go in there, the grass is in the middle of the road and on the side of the road. You can't even see life over there. It talks about doom. It talks about neglect. It talks about people are not giving priority to things that are very essential to the community. Then this is where national government comes in. Then this is where our representatives who's supposed to have advocated for these things to be given attention to. What were they doing? They were talking something different and forgetting about where you are. It talks about the context of knowing the place. Now, suppose we start mobilizing attention, calling attention to that place. Look, we can go around the world and attract investors to rebuild that place there. Because that place is very essential. It's a historic heritage for us. Not just the people of that district, but the entire country. My brother, our plan is to reclaim that pride of that place.
Thank you. Let me go to Joel Dennis.
Yeah, Reverend, I think the question Dr. Fitz was asking, I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit. I know you want to kind of get away from the, tying you to the CDC government. But I mean, as a lawmaker, George Weah is going to pass a budget. Are you going to be rubber stamping George Weah's budget? That's my first question. The second question, if elected, I hear you talking all these big plans about that district. What bill are you going to put forth? What is your first bill? I'm sure you've had time to sit and talk about and think about this. What bill are you going to put forth to have that you believe will have an impact on your district?
So thank you. Like I said, my being there is to be the voice of the people, to fight for the people. And anything that goes contrary to the will of the people, I will fight against it and ensure that the people are included because it's the people's government. So I'm not going to be a rubber stamp. Eddie know me. I speak both ways. I speak on things that are good. I speak on things that are bad. Because in the end, it is my people. Joshua will come and pass. My people, my brother died, bro. You imagine that? In the traffic? Because of traffic congestion? Because we can't have a hospital in our place? Besides my brother, other people are dying. But when I go back home, the number of people that come to me for assistance, I see real people in the eyes. Look, these are people supposed to be working. But they are not. Things are hard.
But I mean, these are people that's currently living under George Weah's.
Now the thing is this. Now let's leave. Now this is why we already fit ourselves, because we centralize our thinking and our development around one person. When we have the resources within our own district that we can tap into, the assets is in our district. How can we tap into the assets in our district to ensure that we can have jobs, to ensure that we can produce on our own in this place here? If we keep looking at government, we feel it's just like the whole country looking at the West to give up money before you do anything. Then we ourselves looking at the government to give up money before we do anything. We need to
Well,
stop.
sir, that is not that is not true. The executive government has a lot to do with investment in the country, and by you supporting that executive branch, it seems like you're rewarding, or you want to have it both ways, and you cannot. Either you are rewarding CDC's bad behavior, and you're siding with what they're doing, or you have an entirely different agenda. You cannot have it both ways. We have a government in Liberia. One person, I agree, one person cannot change the trajectory of this country. But CDC as a party controls Liberia right now. And in essence, they are controlling the budget of this country. They can direct investments. You cannot.
No, if you say that, then it means that, we are trying to overlook the importance of our office. We are trying to overlook what we can do for the people. My brother, this is why I talk about the issue of the brain drain. We've come and live in this country. We have come to connect ourselves with people in this place and the diaspora. You mean we'll go back home and just close our connections we've had? You mean we'll go back home and close our lobbying power we've had? These are things we need to bring back to our country to impact our development. It's not just government. It's all of us. How can you have a district development plan that you can advocate in the House for advocate with government and also advocate outside? Take, for example, we have a long beach. We have a long sea from the time I was born up to now. The Fantis from Ghana are making money from our waters. They are building their homes in Ghana. If we have a district development fishery, a cooperative fishery for the district that we can invest in, we ask for money from the World Bank, and we set up, I think that we have our own fishery going on the sea to bring food. You know what happened to us here? We are creating jobs for ourselves. We are raising funds to ensure that we can carry on development plan. We have good land. The Mesborough, the Artington, the Chismabrough, Rossville. These are places like our federal. Can we not invest in a district agricultural cooperative that we can target each of the major zones to produce?
Thank you.
We can do those things. It's not just government alone.
Thank you. The Reverend Idatu Sade.
Reverend Moy, clearly you've acknowledged that corruption is an endemic problem in our country. And of course, you've stated it that something needs to be done about it. What is your criticism about this government, that if you do become legislator, you will work to change?
The first and foremost thing is if I were to put any criticism on the table, the issue of being reluctant about war crime. Because war crime is a national action of deterrent. It spreads through all the country to deter people from doing anything bad. The government needs to put her foot down on the issue of war crime and ensure that we bring people to book for what they have done, so that it serves as a model of accountability and deterrent. If we can do that, it gets investors confidence to go back home over a country that is secure. But in the absence of this, what we do is that we are trying to make people run away from our country. Because they feel that when I go there tomorrow, I may die, nobody will even have time. You understand that? So war crime has been the challenge of this government. I think they need to put more into it. Call attention to war crime. Set up the war crime court and hold people accountable. You understand that? With that, it will serve as a national deterrent for people who want to do likewise. Even the least men in society who feel that if I do this, this will happen to me because they did it to the big people too. But until you can do it, you'll see crime all in the society. You'll see the increase of Zogos. Those guys feel that, well, we can do it. In the end, we get Zogo $25 during Christmas. For them, it's okay. We are rewarding bad behavior.
Right. So my next question to you, given the fact that you support the pro-po agenda, what made you change to an independent?
Now, the pro-po agenda is not only tied to a party. The pro-po agenda can also be tied to independent. the implementation of the proposal is very important. Now let's say this: being challenged doesn't mean you fail. This is why I always pat the back of my representative Kazulu. He's a good friend. When we're in high school, I will visit his place in Mani in Cape Man. When I go back home, I go to his office. Though I'm from a different part, I have a different party affiliation from Unity Party, but I see as my representative, I give him the full respect. And I gave him plans that he can carry out for the district. I'm doing it for the sake of the people. So likewise, sorry for that expression. I see the good in people, and I see it as a glass that is half full and not half empty. What can we do to ensure that that glass that is half full can be full? This is what we're going to do to help the process, so that our people will have the self-actualization of the basic social and you call it what Master called it, the basic human needs are met. I told you earlier, if the people's basic needs are not met, my brother, it creates frustration. And the greater the level of the frustration of the people, the greater the possibility of them aggressive. It is just by the grace of God that
what I'm hearing
not happen in Liberia. But we can see it in our various streets with Zogos and the rest of it. Something is wrong.
So what I'm hearing you say, Reverend, and I'm glad that reverends are trying to enter the political space. What I'm hearing you saying is that the glass is half full. In other words, there are some things that are working for the people in your district. Correct?
Yeah. So just imagine.
So there are things that are working, right? So there are things working in your district.
Definitely.
And who is currently representing that district? KwaZulu?
It's KwaZulu.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if there are things working, since you see it as a glass half full, if there are things working, then why are you trying to replace them?
No, I'm not replacing. KwaZulu is going to Cape Man to run as senator. KwaZulu said my district is too small for him, so you're going to run as senator. So the district has nobody there. So we're all going, to take the mentor, the baton from him.
Thank you. Okay, folks. Again, if you just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY live on British Radio Africa. Let us now bring in Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts, after which we will have the closing statement from Reverend Moyen, and then we will segue into something else before we cut this at night tonight. Mrs. Roberts, welcome to the show.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Garley. Good evening, my fellow panelists. And good evening to our special guest, Reverend Moyen. Sorry for my posture. I am having difficulties. I'm in a spot for quietness. But I just want to say welcome to Bridge Radio Africa, and thank you for aspiring to be a representative of your district. I would like to know, from what you have seen with current representatives, what would you do differently, or how would you implement things that you see that are missing in the House of Representatives?
Well, I want to make that house the people's house. I want to make it a house that is actually the people's house, having the people's participating in the decision that we make. Because if we are disconnected from the people, it makes it hard for the people to have those things they need. We are going there to represent the people, or they can fit in that building. I think the past time we've been operating on our own and the people have been disconnected from us. So that ensure that we can connect to our people. That's why I said I'm trying to set the example in our district, making our district the development model for Liberia. So the things that are lacking, when people will see them, those actions that are lacking, people will see us doing it, connecting the people to their house. It will stir in them that good jealousy, because we are trying to ensure that the people voice is heard every day when we sit at a table or we sit in that place and we hold our mouth to speak. So I think one of the weaknesses.
So how are you going to do that?
Now, the first thing is, like, I'm one person who believes in people's participation in what I do. Mobilizing the people to our common agenda is important. One of the things I'm going to do is, like, after we have been elected, we want to hold what you call a district development conference. But a district development conference will start with community meetings, qualitative meetings in the 7 regions of our place. The people select where we want to have this district development conference after we have gotten all of the views from our people from the 7 zones. Then we'll meet at this place. If it is 5 days, 3 days, we can bring all of the issues in those various zones, those various communities at the conference. Then as a district, we can carve a strategic plan for development for our district that will encompass everything to meet the needs of even the least person in the district. These things become my guide in my advocacy in Congress, in making our budget, and even trying to see how we can mobilize resources from across. Look, right here, people can live from in America, representatives and senators can live from, they go to other countries, they're going to lobby on behalf of their places. Why we can't go out and lobby? It's not a job to come into Philadelphia and all on Woodland Avenue every day. No. When you leave your country, use your lobbying power to get investors. Other countries, bring back investors to your place. Let the people see the tangible in what you do. Make use of the duty-free privilege they gave you, not for yourself, but for the district. So that things that you mobilize will be able to go back to the district and ensure that you can have your schools, your hospitals, and other areas facilitated. So it's just like the people action, which is the development plan we have down here. We ensure that it becomes our guide in our advocacy. And we'll make it to the point where, because every society needs to have those basic social indicators. If my district have it, if you don't have it, it means that something's wrong with your district. So it will create that speed for development throughout the length and breadth of Liberia.
Thank you, Reverend. Well, just before we take your closing statement, something came to my attention when you were talking. You were asked about some of the challenges, and the only thing you mentioned was war crime court.
War crimes, yeah.
You, as the messenger of the gospel, are you telling the world that the only challenge that you see now is the lack of the war crime court? How about the security situation in the country? How about the 3 missing boys now dead? How about the auditors that were murdered? Help us understand some of these things. How about the rampant corruption that is going in the country? Honor your best friend, George Weah. You're only telling us that one of the challenges, the only challenge you see right now is the lack of the implementation of the war crime code? You may speak.
So to clarify, I didn't say the only challenge I see. So there were many things I said. Most of that, security is jeopardized if deterrent is not set. And investment is also jeopardized when deterrent is not set. So everything boils down to security. But security will be undermined if deterrent. Let's take, for example, if someone does something and the person is put to jail for doing what they did, then someone higher up go and freeze the person from jail. The person go back in the community. People see the person walking after the person have committed this crime. People say it's cool to do it. The reason why it is important to bring war crime back to the table is the fact that it serves as a national deterrent that will even strengthen security. Because people know that if you do something wrong, there will be a consequence of your action. So it's strengthening security in a way that people will know that the action cannot go unpunished. This is the culture we have built since after the war. We can do things free.
Yeah.
So people will kill somebody, carry it in the end, we can't get the head or tail of it. So if we can set that national action for deterrent, it will flow down from the Nima Mountain all the way down to the Cestos coast, from the Lofa Mountain all the way down to Roberts Port, and throughout the length and breadth of our country. We need a national action. That national action is very important to serve as a foundation for national security. In the absence of that, we are working in illusion.
Okay, Reverend.
I got a question.
Yeah, okay. Let me just announce this number again. Ask your question. Well, following Joy's question, we'll go to the telephone line. Perhaps folks out there listening have a few questions for Reverend Moyon, and the telephone number to call is 267-248-5295. That's the number to call. Go ahead, Joel.
Okay, I get that, you know, you have a lot of emphasis on the war crimes court, but please speak towards the economic crimes and corruption. Leave the war crimes out of that. Economic crimes and corruption. Currently, please speak to that. What is your opinion on that?
So development is undermined in the absolute addressing the root causes of any conflict. Development is undermined in the absence of addressing the root causes of any conflict. One, if the war came as a result of corruption and the rest of it.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking about the economic crime
I'm
right
coming
now.
to address it, bro. I'm coming to address it. Don't worry. I'm coming to address it. So if the war came as a result of all this of economic crime, and it still exists within our country, I think people must be held to account for the things we gave them, the things that deprive us of, because deprivation creates poverty. So while it is true that we are advocating for war crime, economic crime is also included in our advocacy to serve as a deterrent, so that those who have corrupted our system, those who have enriched themselves and caused the people to get poor and remain in abject poverty, these people must be brought to book, and they will ensure that their property can be seized, or whatever punishment they have against them to be meted against them, so that at least the next generation or Liberia won't be seen as an elephant meat, because the ideology is in us. When you go to government, it's elephant meat. You take your own and go, to the point where even in the lower part of society, people see everything they get to as elephant meat. So we need to set this national moral. Economic crime, war crime, they are just the same, to ensure that our country get back amongst the community of nations with pride and dignity.
Very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Yes, I heard you talk about advocacy. I did attend a program recently where a city in Ivory Coast partner here with a city called Newark, New Jersey, where they're exchanging ideas. Like the city of Newark would give that city, I think it's a Bobo Village or something in Ivory Coast, something, and then in turn they will send something, either students or some. There's an exchange of ideas, or I gave you something and you give me something back. So I do agree. I hear that from you, and that's a great idea. But how would you go about that?
Now, take for example, the settlement of Virginia in Liberia that was established in 1846. Our brothers and sisters came from Virginia to the settlement of Virginia in Liberia. They were not given reparation, but they were settled in that place. Like Brownsville, people came from South Carolina into Brownsville, Rossville, and other areas, Arlington. Now, how can we make a national case to link the state of Virginia to that Virginia in Liberia? It's speaking to their consciences. This is why when the district development plan is developed, we want to see how we can mobilize resources and bring our stakeholders on the side to meet with these people, plan a meeting where we can meet the folks in Virginia here and make the case for our people. Can we have our students on scholarship in the universities in Virginia as part of, at least that pride should be there.
Ashford, can I ask a question?
Right, gentlemen, I think we run out of time.
So these are the links we are talking about.
Just making in 10, 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have two quick questions.
Make it one question, Fakes, please.
Is all in one. It's the same.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So first thing first, you mentioned.
And then the factory will be there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Pro is Liberia poor or is it mismanaged? So that's number one. Number two, it's good that you talked about people coming from different places to settle in Liberia, and then you seem to be about making sure the right things are done. And what is your view on my view that because up until now people have not recognized Liberia has not recognized that you actually have 17 tribes rather than 16, including those settlers, as the common word for them is Congo people. They have not been recognized. That would account for people trying to say Congo versus indigenous, because for some reason people, after these people have lived in Liberia for over 100 years, for some reason the fact that they are not recognized as a tribe means that they are still being viewed as the other. How do you see those two issues? Number one, the pro, and number two, this thing about Congo versus the rest of Liberia, when in fact Congo people are actually natives of Liberia and should have been absorbed by now as a tribe. Help us understand these two things.
And Reverend, will you please make your answer brief, because I have callers on the line waiting to ask you some questions.
So I did a graduate paper entitled "Bridging the Gap Between the Indigenous and American Liberians for National Reconciliation," and in that paper I proffer some recommendation, and I tend to agree with the statement that the love of liberty brought us here. And some people see it from a different perspective, but I see it as an inclusive saying, because all of us that year is that space called Liberia, and all of us, we didn't originate from that space called Liberia. We came from different places, and we came right in that space called Liberia today. So it was because of liberties. For some, the wall in empire that was broken down. For some, because of the expansion of the Sahara Desert, famine was a challenge to them. They came to that space. And from our brothers and sisters who came from this side, liberty brought us together. I was trying to read to make people to see it from a different perspective and not to see it like we from one side. But God brought us together for a reason. And that place was prophetically, declared as Liberia, the place of liberty. I think we need to bridge this divide. This is what the general reconciliation comes about. How does it come about? We need to deliberately have a rewriting of our own history. History starts from where our people landed up to where, because they had a pen. So the history was seen from their perspective. So that inclusive history will be able to celebrate our joint glories, our joint mooning, we'll mourn our joint losses together. We'll all bring up our heroes from all of our different backgrounds.
Some of the commentators are saying that Congo is actually not a tribe. What do you say? Is that these people are not natives of Liberia? What do you say?
Congo is a label.
I agree, but that's a label of convenience. The same we have Guillaume, Manon, Bassa. These are all labels. So help us understand.
So when you say the American Liberians are Congos?
Do you see those people as natives of Liberia within the 21st century?
Yes,
I'm watching the comments, and people are saying, "Oh, they came from different places in Africa."
No, this is what I said.
Every tribe came from somewhere in Africa.
Definitely.
So help us to understand.
Until now, that's why I said our conflict has been extended influence on our domestic affairs. Those brothers and sisters who you are referring to as Congos, influenced by slave trade, our forefathers saw them from that space, and they went out. And in God's own time, they came back. They came to reconnect to the place they were so from. They are a part and parcel because their great-great-great-grandfathers, their generation were buried in that ground. So that what is holding that ground is the neighbor street of their generation. So one person can claim that place and you exclude other people.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
So are they
Hold on,
a
Mrs.
tribe or not?
Hold on, Mrs. Roberts. I gotta
They're
go.
not a tribe.
I gotta go to the telephone line. We have a 763 number. The last four
I
digits
just
of it
want to be
are
clear.
942. Please tell us your name.
Oh, this is Herbert. I just want to make a comment. I've been listening to the Reverend, and I'm really trying to understand, because no disrespect, but I think most of your ideas is like all over the place. Okay. Now, let me go back to something you said previously about the district and mobilizing. Then you went on to say, in America, people can love you, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the first thing you need to tell lobbying people like y'all need to tell these people, because they are lobbying the young people. That's one. Two, you talk about the criminal justice system now. That's mine. But there is nothing called law enforcement. I can tell you straight up. The security system has broken down. The institution is done. So I'm saying. Now, you talk about deterrent. A criminal justice that got something called recidivism, where people can stop people from turning to the life of crime. That's what I'm saying. And criminal justice that have a theory called the strand theory, where when people live in a community, and they live on a strenuous condition, they turn to the life of crime. Since the war, and I'm not putting all on we are, but now we are the ruling party. You guys are the ruling party. I've been listening to Greek radio, and some of the guys who talk, they talk more about creating jobs. How can your government, because now I'm hearing you guys need a second term, to hit the ground running. Let's assume y'all get the second term. How can you guys assure the Liberian people, especially the Zogos, who are out there in the street committing crime to feed themselves and their family? How can you guys help these people as a deterrent or recidivism, I will call it, not to go back to prison?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Herbert. Okay, we have 763 number again. The last four digits, 7242. Tell us the name, please.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. This is Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Okay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Quickly, I just want to say hello to your panelists and hello to the guests. I just want to clear up something quick for Dr. Fitz. The Congo people and the American Liberian, people use that, people use Congo as an interchangeable name for those two, groups. But the irony here is, the quote unquote American Liberians were the one that quote unquote gathered the 16 tribes, and excluded themselves from there. They put the Loma, the Bassa, the Port, the Maz, and they put these are all the tribes that we have in Liberia. They failed to include themselves within that bunch of people. So the Congo people are the people who were recaptured slaves from who most of them came from the Congo Basin. And then you also have the American Liberians who resettled from the United States. So they're two distinct people, but in terms of culture, they mix their culture. So sometimes we blend them together as one. But they are definitely Liberians, and they are part of our country. If they want to be classified as a tribe, as one people, definitely they should be classified. But quickly to the guests, I want to ask if you sympathize with this CDC government. What are some steps you take in terms of collaborating with the government to further the pro agenda in your district? And I think you have a lot of good ideas. And also quickly, what is your thoughts on building, the government of Liberia building factories to employ people in the country? Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Kura. Thomas Kura?
Yeah, hello. I was muted. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, good evening. Listening to your guest in studio this evening, and I'm very much impressed of what he just said, all of what he said. But my question to him is, Reverend, why is it all you have saying you have not implemented that since, but until now you say them? And another question to him again, why, if you lost the election, will you still implement those plans you have in mind?
Thank you. The last caller, 267 is the area code 8612. Tell us your name, please. 267 463 8612. Tell us your name, please.
My name is Fred Nineport.
Okay, go ahead.
Fred Nineport.
Go ahead and make a point, sir.
My question, Reverend Solomon, they're sorry for District 17, which I own property in that district, and there where I live. My house is there. My question to you is, have you traveled all the communities in District 17? That's one of my questions. My second question would be, have you ever spoken through our representative? I've finished forgetting his name because I don't want him there anymore because he did nothing for us so far. Have you spoken to him about the Commissioner of Virginia? And the reason why I'm mentioning the Commissioner of Virginia here tonight is there's the road that leads to Moulton Corner. I don't know how far have you gone through the area, but Moulton Corner, there's a road, Moulton Corner, going down to Chasetown. That road, we have trucks that carry sand everywhere and anywhere in that area.
Thank you, sir.
And I was told that $95,000 was given to the commissioner. This was 2 years ago when I visited. I just came back. I've been back like 9 months now since I came back from Virginia. Have you ever made mention to our representative regarding the taxes and the road being fixed?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, what are those for questions? We'll now go to Reverend to respond to some of those questions, and then he can give us his closing statement as we move on to another content. Go ahead, Reverend.
So one of the things that has become a habit is to see the good in people and their challenges and how we can help them improve upon the challenges is giving what you call a good appraisal of the things they do. For every time I go back home to Liberia, I always go to my representative's office and we talk. Like I say, he's a good friend of ours. And we ask him about the place and we put before him some ideas. And putting before him the ideas doesn't mean that we are beating him to do what we tell him to do. And also the commissioner of Virginia, Honorable Tasha Grati, also a friend of ours too, who we played soccer together when we were small. And like I said to the caller, I was born right there, and I went to the Maysboro, the Arlington, the Clay Ashland, Cheesemore, all the places we went to. And we went back there again when we need to assess the place. The truth of the matter, we need more work to be done so that our people will really know that they are human beings in a place that God gave them to live. And someone said the issue of employment. Now, I said earlier, if we can identify the access we have in our communities or in our district, take for example, we have good agricultural land. We have a sea that is stretching from the start to the end of the district. We have beautiful tourist point. If we tend to put this thing into development cooperative, take for example, you have an agricultural development, agricultural cooperative for the district. With each of the various sector engaging farm, what we're doing is we employing people in the agricultural sector, in the various farms. If we were to have a district, fishery cooperative, The employment going there. If we're talking about the revamping of the Hotel Africa and the conference center, employment is going there. And also our roads, road infrastructure development is also part of our plan. Now, I'm not saying this to actually excuse myself from what has happened in the past 6 years or 12 years or whatever it is. But what has happened, I have no control of the past. I've only learned a lesson of the past. And what happened now is to ensure that the lesson of the past is brought into the present to correct it and ensure that our people can really have access to true life through our involvement with them and prepare our district for our future generation to inhabit with pride and dignity. Yeah, Dr. Kula said I'm part of a corrupt system. I don't know why you say I'm part of the corrupt system. If by seeing the good in people and talking about it, if I'm not part, then I'm part of everybody. We gotta talk about the good of Honorable Joseph Boaga. I talk even those who criticize me, I see the good. This is why I came up. This is how I was brought up, to see the good and work on the good. Because who you speak to in the person brings out the person more. And your dominant thought attracts your reality. So I always see the good in people. And more to this, you see, it's not about the position for which we are going there. It's not for the money, but the passion. We believe that history will judge us. Our ancestors will judge us tomorrow when we meet them in the great beyond. They will ask us, after we pray that God gave you the opportunity to go and study development, after we prayed and God gave you the opportunity to study peace and conflict resolution, you study development. You mean you live out of your country that is poor and not developed? You can't bring back the idea. You just left it the way we left it. The whole responsible. Team Umbrella, like I said, is that passion will go with to bring all people together to be caught from the shame of corruption, poverty, underdevelopment, and the rest of it.
Reverend Morin, that's enough of district politics. Let's go to national politics. And we just heard the running mate of former Vice President Joseph Newman Boykai, and Cummins is in the works in getting his running mate. George Weah has his running mate. Now, when JMB announced his running mate a week and a half ago, I mean, people were shocked, people were surprised, there were mixed reactions. What do you make of the selection of Jeremiah Cohn as his running mate? And then after that, I think we're going to keep you because we're going to stay some more time. Then we're going to have your doctors come in and the rest of the guys. And I think we can just adjust the 2 hours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think our statesman missed a good opportunity that was available to him. You know, he served as vice president to a female president for 12 years. That showed gender mainstream and gender balance in leadership, in national leadership. And I thought he would have reciprocated that gesture to value that which was done to him, to women as, you know what I mean, in this time of selection. The first selection day he brought in a man, and I thought he was not sensitive to what happened in 12 years. That team that was built between the men and the woman in national leadership. If he would have chosen a woman, it would have attracted more to him the female vote. Because it's like you have been grateful for the women bringing you as vice president that prepare you to be president. Then bring them too for continuation. That one. Two, like more people are saying that, I mean, the selection of Jeremiah Cohn is just like, I mean, it's a 4K of Prince Johnson.
What about Prince Johnson?
And Prince Johnson is the one that presented Jeremiah Cohn. And Prince Johnson, they say he's the godfather for Nima County. And with Prince Johnson, they will get Nima County, vote. And JMB will win the election. Because Prince Johnson can sway his people. And the people have been stereotyped to think that without Prince Johnson, they can't make it. So wherever Prince Johnson goes, they will go. So that common philosophy, that's stereotypical
Do you
philosophy.
see a problem within selecting Prince Johnson? Is that a problem?
Well, it's not just a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, I mean, I don't want to say tear the country apart. This man has been one person who, even when he was the chairman for defense
Mm-hmm.
at the national in the Senate,
Mm-hmm.
the Americans said they couldn't deal with him until they can't deal with that particular committee because defense is very sensitive. Until they can remove him, and he recused himself from the process. Now, if you have a greater influence on the selection of the vice president, Prince Johnson own war. I didn't say. He said it. He said he wished to be president. Now he's old. He can't make it.
Your best
Now
friend.
he's old. He
Your
can't make it.
best
Now
friend.
the selection of
Hold
Jeremiah.
on, Reverend. Your best friend George Weah was on his knee begging Prince Johnson to support him.
I didn't see Georgia on his knee.
According to Prince Johnson, because of Prince Johnson today, George Weah is the president. The same Prince Johnson told George Weah to Nigeria to meet the man of God to pray for him. And now you are all here talking about Prince Johnson.
But are
we done?
Reverend.
No, you just asked a question.
Following the answer, you can come in, Joel.
Imagine the way Madam Salif dealt with Prince Johnson. Madam Salif from the United Party embraced Prince Johnson, but she kept Prince Johnson at a wavelength from her, not to influence the decision. Now Joshua also did, and he kept Prince Johnson at a distance in his leadership. Now, if he tells you why the two of them broke away from each other, another issue. If things were fine with them, if George were very comfortable with Prince Johnson, and Prince Johnson is having an influence over Joshua, they wouldn't have been falling apart.
But Prince Johnson was on the record to say George Weah did not bring any development. He never brought investors in the country. This is a man that claimed.
You mean the same Prince Johnson who was advocating for the president to build a road to go to his church?
Come in, Joel.
Hold on. You see, when we started this show tonight, Reverend, you did everything to disguise your jersey of CDC. But you're sitting here being intellectually dishonest. The same reason you said you didn't want to be tied to George Weah. We're not talking about Prince Johnson here. We're talking about Jeremiah Kuhn. We want you to speak on Jeremiah Kuhn. Forget Prince Johnson. Just like you don't want us to tie you to the CDC government, don't tie Jeremiah Kuhn to Prince Johnson. Leave Prince Johnson, like Jeremiah Kuhn said, his last name is not Jeremiah Johnson.
So
it's
Joel,
Jeremiah
Kuhn. Question. Are you supportive of Jeremiah Kuhn and JMB ticket?
Listen, I have stated on this show that I don't support Joseph Boyka. I don't support ANC. What I would have liked to see is a united party. That's what I've stated in the show. But don't worry about. I'm asking you. You ask us not to tie you to George Weah. You put your head down when we're asking that question.
Now,
so we're discussing Jeremiah Kuhn, not Jeremiah Johnson.
Intellectually, if we do analysis, we'll go not just the person, but what behind the person.
You are being intellectually dishonest.
No, I'm sorry that you say that, my good friend. Don't say that.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
a guest on the show. You asked me a question, and I asked the question. I'm answering the question in a way.
I'm just asking you to not be
understanding.
hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical. As a reverend, don't be hypocritical. Don't ask for
I
favor
pray
for one
that I
side.
don't have mercy upon you for calling me that.
Thank you.
Can I come in?
No, let Idatus come in. That was in line coming before Joy came in. Idatus?
I'm just certainly not confused, but would like to know more the distinction between running as an independent, whilst at the same time you are a pro-poor agenda supporter, but yet can identify things that are truly bad in this government, but is so quick to align Prince Johnson and Jeremiah Kuhn, while at the same time you're distancing yourself from this government, but yet want us to believe that these two individuals are one. So Ashford, I ask you, did Prince Johnson take George Weah to Nigeria for the prophet to pray for him? Did Prince Johnson help your president get elected? Did Prince Johnson help Madam Ellen Sirleaf Johnson get elected? If those answers are true, Reverend, did he influence your president?
The answer is, was his will actually, served? If it was so, he wouldn't have left. I don't know. Because if you are good, comfortable, and if you have a control on somebody, you won't leave the president, because probably that control was not there. Probably. So probably.
So for the time the control was there, did he influence your president when he took him to Nigeria?
No.
Was your president under his influence?
Get the point. Let me come back to give you some history.
Why don't you answer the question, Reverend?
But the question I'm answering. In Banga City, Prince Johnson, I still got a recording. He said that VP Joseph Boyka went to Nimba County to meet the elders who can speak to their ancestors, to ask what was his way in the process. And the people told him that they did what he could do, and said that, you can be president. Prince Johnson said it. He said, yeah, he wanted to speak to the message deacon. He went to talk to the people in a place that whatever it is. It was fun, but it was something serious. Now, if Prince Johnson realized that the same man who we talk about, who wanted Nimakan to meet with the people, the Zoes and whatever it is, the deacon meeting the Zoes and others to know his will, like what the boy said, man, like Saul going to the medium to know about things about him, to cause Samuel Spirit or Samuel Spirit to speak. That is the same person will come to support, to come and support JMB. Probably he realized that JMB went to the same place and people say you will be. So I leave it with them. Whatever.
But I'm asking you, though, not the people. I'm asking you a direct question. When Prince Johnson took President Weah to Nigeria, did he go there on his own accord, or was it under the influence of Prince Johnson when he went for prayers?
Well, I'm not, President, we are protocol officer who planned the trip to tell you that this was how to win. So to answer that question,
no further question. Thank you. No further question. Thank you.
Bringing Dr. Fisk.
Okay, I have two questions. Let me start with the first one. I asked it previously, but it wasn't addressed because I mixed it up. So let me just ask. CDC, when it came to power, it announced a pro-poor policy. Question, is Liberia actually poor, or is it just mismanaged? If it is not poor but mismanaged, does it then tell us that CDC never understood the problems that were facing the country, and as such would explain why up until now they have not been able to get it right in terms of what is needed for Liberia?
So the question comes on the back of a government that was in power for 12 years, received $11+ billion for 12 years, and yet still our people stay in abject poverty. So what happened with almost that $11 billion to our country? What happened to the presence of all meal, the 70,000 presence of all meal that were helping our national economy? What happened? Why is it that our people are still like what mismanagement? I'm trying to bring the word mismanagement into its context. Some mismanagement create poverty because people are denied the basic need.
So are you suggesting that when the CDC said it had a pro agenda, it was an accurate descriptor of what was obtaining in Liberia versus the fact that Liberia had been mismanaged, And because once CDC became a government, then of course, like what you said previously, now it had the mental. So the idea of going retrogressing into what happened, the 11 billion or whatsoever, it was up to George Weah to conduct an audit. Mind you, it was him that said he would not, because do unto you, do unto me, I do unto you. Perhaps maybe he was afraid that he himself at the end of his term will be subjected to an audit. So he didn't do an audit with Ellen, which it was his prerogative to do. So he didn't do it. So now that he didn't do it, he could not critically define the situation that was obtaining, but yet and still he was able to muster the courage to say Liberia is pro-poor rather than mismanaged, and help us to understand whether because of that thought process, it has led to the kind of knee-jerk reaction to what is obtaining in Liberia, not really a consistent policy.
So, Dr. Fix, Dr.
I'm
Fix.
not asking about Ellie, I'm asking you about Weah
Dr.
and his
Fix.
agenda. Yeah.
Dr. Fix, the context in which the question is asked made something very important. They didn't say Liberia was pro-poor. Liberians are pro-poor. Pro-poor, you are well-learned, gentlemen. It means a government in support, in favor of the poor.
Correct.
So those things we need to do, we're doing it for the poor to bring them from that poverty level to a place where they can have that kind of self-actualization as true human beings. Now, mismanagement in then was like you didn't manage to bring the people from poverty. The government was not a pro-poor. The government was just an elite
How much
government.
of the pro-poor agenda has been achieved?
Hold on now.
I mean, you've answered the question. How much of your pro-poor agenda has been achieved?
The fact that people in villages.
Before I ask my second question,
the fact
how much
that
of the pro-poor agenda has been achieved?
The fact that people in villages who were sleeping on the thatches from the time they were born, they can sleep with roof over the home is a plus. The fact that my place, I was born, Banjo, in Virginia, Lower Virginia, they built the Hotel Africa and the conference center using the road to my place to go to those places and build them. After they were done, they built different roads to go there, and they forgot our place. But the proper government was able to build a pavement from the Broadway checkpoint all the way to the Hotel Junction.
Okay, so what I'm understanding from you is that dishing out handouts to Liberia.
No.
No. Liberia, when you said people are living untouched and they build roof over their heads, that's handout. Okay,
that's not handout.
Let me ask.
It's not a handout for you. Ask a question. Let me answer it. It's not a handout for that mother, that father, that boy and get that was forgotten about.
It is a handout.
No, don't say that.
The government has the capacity to create jobs. It is a handout. So let me ask.
The government that had 11 billion.
That's enough, Fix. I mean, we got to go.
The government had 11 billion for 12 years.
Ask my second question.
You have enough exchanges within that. That's enough, Fix. We got to go. We don't have time. I mean, almost 2 hours being here. Thank you. Let me bring in Letty Roberts. Then we asking to give us a listening statement. Letty.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Garley, and thank you to our guests. I just want to say I want to object to that pro-poor, meaning you take them out of poverty. That may have been the intention. But from what we have come to see, I think there has been created more poverty. Yes, there has been few handouts. I saw a gentleman who the president knew when he was a little boy. He built him a house. That's a nice gesture. But how do you maintain it? That's what we're talking about. When you teach people how to fish, they eat for a lifetime. But when you give them fish, they eat for a day. Why is it that you're not creating opportunities rather than just give here a little bit here, go into the interior? That's what the what's those people, Peace Corps did. They came around, helped people, gave a little bit here, they went into interiors. So government doing that is not all things to applaud. They should give the people more, that it will gain access and gain opportunities. What do you say about that?
So I studied the development progress of Barbados, and also studies other countries like Trinidad and Tobago that I went to and did this research. And I kind of realized that the human resource development is key to the transformation of the country.
That's right.
And if you don't want to give credit to this government, it's up to you. But the fact that this government was able to make university education, government university education free, is a boost that we must applaud. And if you hear the government say, the government is thinking in developing the human resource to the point where even the market woman who's selling her paper to make sure her child can go to school at a university, the child can go to school free. It's something that's applaudable. It's not selective.
Intervention, applaudable. But how about the base? It starts from the base, like the foundation. That should be where free and the government should focus. Because when you have a good foundation, you can go yourself to college.
Yeah,
You
Sister
can
Roberts.
put yourself in.
Sister Roberts,
Yes.
you go to the like the little country I just called talk about. They're free. I mean, university education they provide. They know that they don't have much resources, so they're empowering them the human resource. And these are the people who are bringing the foreign capitals. Now, for us, most of us in Liberia, after we have gotten from university, want to come to America. Why? We've learned, but we want to bring our value to this country, then our place. The fact that the government is providing free education to build our human resource capacity. My sister, if you can say anything but good about the government, let applaud.
Thank you. Thank you very
There are
much.
challenges, but the challenges can be in just 6 years within a system. We know the global economic trend that impacted. We know the COVID that impacted our country. Those are things that have impact our economy. We know the withdrawal of oil that had a huge presence of foreign capital. We know how they left.
Good morning. I want to say a big thank you to you for taking up time.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
In 30 seconds, just give us your closing statement.
Honestly, I love my brother Fix. We all went to Ghana together as refugees. And today I'm proud that he's Dr. Fix. So, I mean, these are the people we're talking about. We didn't leave Liberia because we want to leave Liberia, but condition push out of Liberia. We are brains in other people's countries. Let's take our brain back home so we can give value to our country. Let's do what we can do to change the trajectory. It's not who becomes president. It's what we can do to augment the strength of who become our leader. That crab in the basket mentality, that crab in the basket syndrome. If only Liberia can put it aside and rally together, we can move Liberia forward. Joel, myself, we can do it. Sister Roberts and myself can do it. My brother, Reverend Adam, myself, we're already doing it. Your show is a very good show. It's a platform. But that platform being objective and give rise to new ideology, new innovation to our country so that people will be inspired on the side to go back home. It's time for the brain that are in foreign land in the diaspora to return to our country. As the Israelites,
are you saying the platform is not
objective?
Country? Are you suggesting that the platform is not objective? Is that what you're saying?
Say again.
Are you saying the platform is not objective?
The word objective is relative. I said let it be objective.
Oh, but what you've seen so far, what is your take on this?
I think they're doing well to ask objective questions.
Okay.
They are trying to pin me in one corner, which I agree. You are trying to pin me and the rest of it. But the fact about it, we're all good friends. Let's do our best to move ahead our country.
Thank you, my
I
brother.
love you all.
Thank you.
You know what?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Pastor Moen.
Well, that was Pastor Solomon Moen as our special guest tonight. And folks, time has caught up with us. We just go around the room and ask for our closing statement as we go home for the night. Idatu Sade.
Well, certainly the argument guilt by association will never ever hold water, because the last time I checked, it was Prince Johnson who took our dear President George Weah to Nigeria for prayers. He was publicly associated with. He was not a murderer then. because it was political season. So that is a field politics. We also see that Jeremiah Coon, it's been an open secret, he was pursued by Mr. Cummings and the rest of his team. So we make no mistake, we are in a political season. I'm looking forward to a substantive debate, not character assassination. I'm looking forward to, an opposition unity that will hopefully unseat this government. And, it's clear that this government cannot win elections, and therefore individuals are running as independents because of the legacy currently being scrutinized by members of our society. Mr. Moore is certainly a decent man. I know him. We've worked together for the Liberian Association here. For the Liberian Ministers Association. Very hardworking, dedicated. But I think one of his obstacles is his association with this government and defending with such passion and vigor some of the field policies of this government. But as an individual, he's a decent man of character. Thank you.
Dennis?
Well, I want to thank the Reverend for coming on the show tonight. I agree with some of the things he said. I did like his energy, but before he left, he did make some statements that we all do need to go back to Liberia and work together. But I have to tell him, under this current government, it's just not possible. Just the other day, Minister Kura was fired for showing up to Joseph Boyka naming of his running mate. So obviously the CDC government is one-sided. So if he's riding on that ticket, but he's not wearing the jersey, I don't believe we are on the same. We're on the same side. I do believe we all do need to do some work in Liberia to make Liberia more habitable for all of us, including the Congo people.
Thank Dr. Fisk.
I pass.
Mrs. Roberts.
Wait, what? Dr. Fizz, you pass?
Mhm.
Okay. Again, I like the energy of Pastor Moore, and he had a character witness here from Pastor Idatus. It's just, unfortunate that he would try to pin Jeremiah Coon with Prince Johnson, but then when it came to him with CDC, he tried to distance himself. So that's a double standard. And we try to be objective here. We're not here to promote anyone. Yes, few of us have spots, but no, this is about Liberia.
But just you and that two got spots.
I said few of us, yeah. So, but for the most part, it's about the country. And I did, hear a little bit of the back and forth on other stations with, vetting and not vetting and it's vetting is vetting. When you're looking for somebody or looking for a school or looking for a job or looking for whatever you're looking for, you go through a vetting stage to know if this is the person or the thing that fits you. So Liberians, let's stop it and let's just hope that we can change the trajectory of Liberia.
Thank you, Letty.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time we'll have to be with you. God willing, we'll be back on Friday, same time, same place. Until then, hey, don't forget to pray. Don't be too proud to pray because prayer can change things. With that said, yours truly, the medicine of the microphone, the ASHFORD Garley. Good night.
Thank you.